If people aren't buying your coaching, it's not actually your content, but it's probably your offer. And today I'm going to be breaking this down properly and show you exactly what to fix. So let's get into it. Okay, so again, this is a very heavily requested video of fixing your coaching offer. This is obviously really important because the offer comes first before everything. And I would say if you're trying to fix your whole business as a whole, you should work on the offer first because everything trickles down from the offer. So the offer will affect how you do your sales, how you do your marketing, and if you don't have a solid offer, then everything else will crumble. So make sure to fix your coaching offer first. And if you work with me one-to-one, I fix your offer first. That's always the first thing I do because that's how important an offer is. And so let's get into it. So this might be you. Your offer sounds pretty vague and generic. You're targeting everyone, so you're basically converting no one, and you don't actually have an offer sheet, or you just have a very unstructured offer sheet. And we're going to cover all of that in today's video. And so the general basis is we're going to cover your packaging and why it's really important to package your offer correctly, how you should get an irresistible offer so it beats any other offer in the market and you're not competing based on price and a person doesn't buy your plan because it's slightly cheaper than another plan. And also we're going to cover a bit of how to actually write your offer sheet. And so let's cover your packaging first. So the first thing I would say is you need to set a realistic timeline. And I say this because I've worked with a few fitness coaches, and a lot of them, for some reason, they do things like per week or per month, right? And what I usually tell them is, why are you doing, let's say, a per week basis with a client? Because that literally doesn't make sense. So if you're working with a client, let's say his name is Tim, is Tim gonna get fit with your program in a week? Right? If you're being charged by week, they can literally drop you anytime they feel like the service is not working. And you can only see progress in months or years, especially with fitness. And so a lot of them I recommend to literally charge straight up 4 to 6 months upfront. And if you already take this away, this will literally already 3 or 4x your coaching offer because you get 3 or 4 times money up front, and this will make it much easier for you and your client as well because both you and your clients will be satisfied. And so a better client also means better testimonies and also better referrals. And so this is really important because if you're a fitness coach, you need to work with them for at least 4 to 6 months to see the actual transformation. Well, 4 to 6 months is what my clients have been telling me is a realistic timeline to be actually able to see a transformation. With any other online coaching industry, just apply it to your niche. So how long would it actually take for them to see results from that program, and just charge them up front for the duration of however many months it takes for them to see the transformation. And again, it's good for you and the client. So just start implementing that straight away. And the other thing with packaging is you need to stop pricing based on the market. So a lot of people see the market and they're like, okay, I'm going to charge a bit above or a bit below. But the problem is when you're pricing based on the market, your product becomes a commodity. So it's like when you're going to the grocery store, right? And there's 3 supermarkets and you go to one of them because the bananas are cheap or something. You don't want to be like that. You want to be like that one product that all 3 supermarkets just don't have, right? Only one of the supermarkets have that product. And so it doesn't matter what they charge because you're the only one that has that product, and so they have to buy it no matter the price. And so I would describe that as an irresistible offer. And that's the next point. So how do you actually create this irresistible offer? So you need to sell the transformation. a lot of coaches, they're competing based on price because they're literally competing based off the number of training plans or the number of PDFs you can sell. But nowadays, with AI, anyone can literally create training plans or like a personalized diet, right? But they want to know that you specifically can sell them that transformation. So they trust that, John, the online coach, will be able to get them that transformation and they like them. So they're like, this guy's trustworthy, so he can get me from point A to point B. And as long as they can go from point A to point B, realistically, the price doesn't really matter, right? And you can literally charge thousands, literally thousands. And that's the difference, because if, let's say, I tell you that I can get you from someone not confident to confident, I cover that kind of in the sales call video and another video about selling the transformation. But if you can get them from point A to point B, you can pretty much technically charge any price, because if I can go from point A to point B, I'll just pay you whatever it takes to go from point A to point B. There's no market comparison. And so let's say you can get them from point A to point B within 5 months or whatever, then why wouldn't they pay for that service? If you can guarantee them, and that's why it's also important to have a guarantee in your offer. If you can have a guarantee that if you don't get from point A to point B, if you follow our program, then it's a no-brainer. And again, you should obviously have a very good offer, because you should be confident that if they actually implement your offer, they will be able to achieve that result. And if you don't do that, then you're basically some scammer, right? And that's not good. So make sure your offer actually works and your system will actually get the clients the results they deserve. And so let's go through the offer sheet. And the offer sheet is something you should do right now after this video, because everyone needs an offer sheet. An offer sheet is basically one document with all the deliverables and services highlighted. And how should you actually structure an offer sheet? So the offer sheet generally comes down to these 6 points. If you work with me one-to-one, I will literally build the offer with you live. But in general, you want the outcome, you want the deliverables, you want to state your coaching structure, you want the bonuses, you want the guarantees, and then you want the investment, which is how much your service is. And so all these points should generally cover what your service entails. And so if you can say, I'll get you to this, from this to this, and I have all these deliverables and all these coaching structure. Again, I know I said the service is not important, it's a bit contradictory, but the way you do this is when you talk through the offer sheet in a sales call, you're going through the structure in a way that you're saying, oh, because of we have this structure will help you with this specific transformation. So you're only highlighting the parts of the structure that are important to be able to get the transformation, right? It's kind of like the structure is mainly there to back up what you say about helping them get their transformation. And so it's not just a bunch of training plans. You have this specific training plan for this issue, right? And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end of the video. And you can obviously work with me one-to-one. But if you take away anything from this video, the most important thing is to do your offer sheet and make sure to have a irresistible offer. You don't want to be competing based on price. If you can get a person from point A to point B, I'm telling you, a person will be willing to pay anything, right? As long as you're solving a problem in their life, they're going to pay for it. And that's the general basis of business. So that's pretty much it. I hope you got something out of that video. And if not, enjoy.